Hey button pushers, Nick here, and today we are going to be looking at the review of We the Revolution for Xbox One. It was originally released for PC back in March 2019 and is now available for PC, PS4, Switch and Xbox One. The game was developed by Polyslash and published by Clubator, who kindly sent over the review copy of the game, so thank you very much to them for that. The full written review is on the website and the link for that is in the description below. And if you disagree with anything I say in this review, then let me know in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel for more gaming videos. But for now, let's get to it.
Do you hear me? I gave you the best I could. Why did you disown me? I have your blood in my veins. How could you?
Every now and then you read about a game or you see a trailer and you just know straight away that it's not going to be a light-hearted affair, and everything about We the Revolution screamed that, and I steeled myself for that at the very beginning before I even started playing the games. I was ready to be tested in ways that very few video games have ever done before, and I just had a horrible feeling it was going to make me question a lot of what I thought I knew about myself. And honestly, I wasn't wrong. Just going to put this out there right now. This is not a feel-good game in any stretch of the imagination, and I absolutely love that about the game. It's unflinching and it's unapologetic in its approach to the scenarios that it throws you into and some of the decisions you're forced to make. You take on the role of Judge Fidel, a judge in the times of the French Revolution, and you're not a shining example of justice and pure living. You drink too much, you gamble too much, and as a result of these things, you have a tendency to not be the ideal role model to your kids or really a good husband to your wife. Don't worry though, you'll get a chance to fix things later in the game, or potentially just make them a whole lot worse, depending on how you manage yourself and what decisions you make further down the line. At the start of the game, you begin things nice and easily by taking on normal, smaller cases that relate to fraud, burglary, assault, things like that. And in these cases, you will get a chance to read the case file, question the accused, and decide whether they deserve prison or whether they should be set free. Cherish these moments as things quickly start to get a little bit harsher from about day 3 or 4. Before long, the metaphorical bells of revolution start to toll through France, and the construction of the infamous guillotine gets finished off, ready for use. And the decision on whether the person stands in front of you gets to keep their head rests squarely on your shoulders, so to speak. If you do opt to use the guillotine as punishment, then you'll have one final choice to make before the deed is done. You can either just get down to it and get to chopping, or you can deliver a speech to the crowd and try and win them round a little bit more, which will obviously benefit you further down the line. The risk here though is that once you decide to actually start the speech, you can't back out, and there's always the risk that you can make things worse by picking the wrong decisions in what you're saying. Whatever the outcome, the guilty party loses their head and your reputation is going to change one way or the other. And as an added bonus, you are the one that has to pull the rope and drop the blade. I say bonus, it's not a bonus, it's horrible. The cases themselves can be as detailed and lengthy or as quick and to the point as you want them to be. As the judge, you have final say in the matter, but you need to be careful as some of your actions will have dire consequences if you're not careful. When a case begins, you'll be given a document giving you all the details that you need to know about the accused and their supposed crime, and you'll also be able to see from the get-go what the expected verdict is from the various parties of France. Mostly you're going to have to worry about the revolutionaries and the common folk. Occasionally there will be others that you need to worry about, but they're the main two. You'll also have to take into account the verdict that the jury has come to. You don't have to stick with it, you just need to take it under advisement. After you've read the case file, you'll be given the chance to question the accused, but it's not necessarily that straightforward. First, you need to connect the dots on everything you've read and match all the things raised in the case file with different elements of the case, such as things relating to the victim, the evidence, the motive, extenuating circumstances, etc. You'll have a limited number of attempts to get this right. The exact amount changes depending on the case, and if you try to make the wrong connections too many times, then you'll be locked out of unlocking any more questions. The most important thing, which took me a while to figure out but is worth noting, just because you've unlocked a question doesn't mean you need to ask it. You have the power to play a manipulative game if you want to, or if you need to, because sometimes you will need to. Say, as an example, you need to keep a particular party happy because they already dislike you, and angering them any further will inevitably end in game over. Then you may need to throw your moral compass to the side and just go with whatever they want. But you don't want to annoy the jury by not listening to their verdict. You can choose to only ask questions that are likely to sway the jury in one way or the other. It's definitely not the right thing to do, but it stops you from being deposed or outright murdered by a lynch mob, so, sometimes you just gotta do what keeps you alive. Presiding over the cases isn't the only thing you're going to need to worry about. As the revolution starts to intensify, there are characters that will appear that pose a danger to you personally and the revolution as a whole, so you enter into a sort of political battle with these people in a system of the game called intrigue. This is essentially political warfare. These intrigue sections vary quite a lot. Some of them you will need to sit down with somebody and try and convince them to come round to your way of thinking using the same sort of dynamic that you use for giving speeches to the crowd. Other times you'll need to make a decision on something, so you're given 2 or 3 different possible routes that you can go down. You select one and then you're told a percentage chance of it being successful. As with everything in the game, there is a risk involved with this, and you have to win a certain amount of the events thrown up at the intrigue. If you don't, then the opponent gets the upper hand and the revolution is doomed and you're the one to blame. Needless to say, that doesn't end too well for you. While you're battling over control of revolutionary France using the power of words, you'll also need to battle for control using slightly more direct methods, and at one point every day you'll be given the chance to maneuver your political figures across a map of Paris. You can use this time to maintain or improve your reputation in each district. You can battle enemy agents, you can quell any riots that have started, standard revolutionary stuff. Finally, as if presiding over cases and playing a game of political warfare on multiple fronts wasn't quite enough, there are a few other gameplay mechanics that you'll need to get to grips with as well. The biggest of these is to do with your relationship with all of the individual members of your family. At the end of the day, you'll get to choose an activity for you and your family to do, unless something big has happened story-wise during the day, in which case you're locked out of making a decision and ones forced upon you. The hurdle here is that each activity will impact each individual member of your family differently, so you'll need to try and carefully maintain the relationship with all of them, meaning you're occasionally going to have to annoy someone for the good of everyone else. The art style of We the Revolution is absolutely beautiful and it's incredibly unique. The main set design you'll see the most of is obviously going to be the courtroom, but you'll occasionally get to see the crowds of people while you're delivering speeches, and once a day you'll be sat at your dinner table at home with your family, unless you've decided not to go home that night, which is occasionally an option. Each of these locations look completely different from one another, and they all have their own unique feel to them. There's also a load of cutscenes quite frequently throughout the game, and during certain interrogations or intrigue conversations, you'll also get a chance to actually watch a character's expression change as their opinions are changing through the conversation, which is a really nice touch. There's a real simplicity to the soundtrack of the game, which is a really powerful tool. Most of the time, especially during the cases, there's no music at all, which adds to the somber nature of what's going on all around you. Some of the main cutscenes and intrigues are voiced, and these are done really well, but the majority of the game is handled by simple speech bubbles. And whereas normally having the two different styles irritates me a little in a game, it kind of worked well here, as it gave you a chance to actually read everything and make sure that you took in all of the information as you were going, which helps because you're inevitably going to need it further down the line. My one big criticism of We the Revolution is that there may be too much that you need to do, and some of the gameplay elements feel a tad unnecessary. Thankfully, all of the main elements are good, but it's the smaller ones that are the problem. There's moments where you play out a battle or you just play dice, which, I mean, the game could have done without either of these things, but they're not bad. They're just not entirely necessary. The way the cases work, though, and the fact that you have to build the questions is a brilliant dynamic, and there are times when it will make you question yourself, and you will be forced into making a decision that you're really not happy with, but you have no choice. The best thing, though, that the game offers up is the constant balancing act that you need to endure. You'll need to keep the citizens, the revolutionaries, the jury, your family, and whoever else you're dealing with at the time all happy, all at the same time. I legitimately can't remember the last time a game has made me question my own moral compass quite as much as We the Revolution did. There were times when I genuinely wanted to make a specific decision, but couldn't because it would have ended the game for me, and that really ate me up. The constant balancing act that you have to play was more than enough to keep me invested. I've scored We the Revolution 8.5 out of 10, which is between great and amazing, and it's genuinely worth a play. If you want something that's going to test you and push you outside of your comfort zone, then it's definitely worth giving a try. Thank you very much for watching. Hit the like button if you liked the video, subscribe to the channel for more gaming videos, and until next time, hit the music!